Hello, my sweet summer children. I have brought you some juice to get you through the long night as we wait for Game of Thrones Season 7 and Winds of Winter. Under a weirwood, Jaime had a dream, a prophetic dream. So sit back and relax, and I'll tell you what it means. You're going to want to hear this. What place is this? Your place, the voice echoed. It was 100 voices, 1,000, the voices of all Lannisters since Lan the Clever, who'd lived at the dawn of days. But most of all, it was his father's voice, and beside Lord Tywin stood his sister, pale and beautiful, a torch burning in her hand. Joffrey was there as well, the son they'd made together, and behind them, a dozen more dark shapes with golden hair. Sister, why has father brought us here? Us? This is your place, brother. Her torch was the only light in the cavern. Her torch was the only light in the world. She turned to go. Stay with me, Jaime pleaded. Don't leave me here alone. But they were leaving. Don't leave me in the dark. Something terrible lived down here. Give me a sword at least. I gave you a sword, Lord Tywin said. It was at his feet. Jaime groped under the water until his hand closed upon the hilt. Nothing can hurt me so long as I have a sword. As he raised the sword, a finger of pale flame flickered at the point and crept up along the edge, stopping a hand's breadth from the hilt. The fire took on the color of the steel itself, so it burned with a silvery blue light, and the gloom pulled back, crouching, listening. Jaime moved in a circle, ready for anything that might come out of the darkness. The water flowed into his boots, ankle deep and bitterly cold. Beware the water, he told himself. There may be creatures living in it, hidden deep. From behind came a great splash. Jaime whirled toward the sound, but the faint light revealed only Brienne of Tarth, her hands bound in heavy chains. I swore to keep you safe, the wench said stubbornly. I swore an oath. Naked, she raised her hands to Jaime. Sir, please, if you would be so good. The steel links parted like silk. A sword, Brienne begged. And there it was, scabbard, belt, and all. She buckled it all around her thick waist. The light was so dim that Jaime could scarcely see her, though they stood a scant few feet apart. In this light, she could almost be a beauty, he thought. In this light, she could almost be a knight. Brienne's sword took flame as well, burning silvery blue. The darkness retreated a little more. The flames will burn so long as you live, he heard Cersei call. When they die, so must you. Sister, he shouted, stay with me, stay. There was no reply but the soft sound of retreating footsteps. Brienne moved her long sword back and forth, watching the silvery flame shift and shimmer. Beneath her feet, a reflection of burning blade shone on the surface of the flat black water. She was as tall and strong as remembered, yet it seemed to Jaime that she had more of a woman's shape now. Do they keep a bear down here? Brienne was moving, slow and wary, sword to hand. Step, turn, and listen. Each step made a little splash. A cave lion, dire wolves, some bear. Tell me, Jaime, what lives here? What lives in the darkness? Doom. No bear, he knew, no lion, only doom. Something comes. Brienne lifted her sword to point off to his left. There! He peered into the gloom until he saw it too. Something was moving through the darkness. He could not quite make it out. A man on a horse? No, two riders side by side. Down here, beneath the rock. It made no sense. Yet there came two riders on pale mares, men in mounts, both armored. The destriers emerged from the blackness at a slow walk. They make no sound, Jaime realized. No splashing, no clink of mail, nor clap of hoof. He remembered Eddard Stark, riding the length of Aerys' throne room, wrapped in silence. Only his eyes had spoken, a lord's eyes, cold and gray and full of judgment. Is it you, Stark? Jaime called. Come ahead. I never feared you living. I do not fear you dead. Brienne touched his arm. There are more. He saw them too. They were armored all in snow, it seemed to him, and ribbons of mist swirled back from their shoulders. The visors of their helms were closed, but Jaime Lannister did not need to look upon their faces to know them. 5 had been his brothers. Oswell Went and John Derry, Lewin Martell, a Prince of Dorne, the White Bull, Gerald Hightower, Sir Arthur Dayne, Sword of the Morning, and beside them, crowned in mist and grief with his long hair streaming behind him, rode Rhaegar Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone and rightful heir to the Iron Throne. "You don't frighten me," he called, turning as they split to either side of him. He didn't know which way to face. "I will fight you one by one or all together, but who is there for the wench to duel? She gets cross when you leave her out." "I swore an oath to keep him safe," she said to Rhaegar's shade. "I swore a holy oath." "We all swore oaths," said Arthur Dayne, so sadly. The shades dismounted from their ghostly horses. When they drew their long swords, it made not a sound. "He was going to burn the city," Jaime said, "to leave Robert only ashes." "He was your king," said Derry. "You swore to keep him safe," said Went. "And the children, them as well," said Prince Lewin. Prince Rhaegar burned with cold light, now white, now red, now dark. "I left my wife and children in your hands." "I never thought he'd hurt them." Jaime's sword was burning less brightly now. "I was with the king." "Killing the king," said Sir Arthur Dayne. "Cutting his throat," said Prince Lewin. "The king you swore to die for," said the White Bull. The fires that ran along the blade were guttering out, and Jaime remembered what Cersei had said. "No!" Terror closed the hand about his throat. Then his sword went dark, and only Brienne's burned as the ghosts came rushing in. Okay, so this was the Weirwood Dream that Jaime had while he slept under a weirwood tree. This dream occurred after he lost his hand, before he freed Brienne, and before Tywin gave him his sword. Okay, disclaimer. Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, is one of my favorite characters in the books. I know he had sexual relations with his sister. He killed the Mad King, and he pushed Bran out of the window. I know, terrible stuff. But his character arc or character development in the books is the most phenomenal thing I've ever seen, like ever. Like not just in A Song of Ice and Fire, but ever in any book I've read. So when we first meet Jaime, he's a cocky SOB. He's just this handsome, sword-swinging, oath-breaking, golden lion shit of a man that we automatically hate. And when he pushes Bran from the window, most readers or watchers were kind of like, F him, F his whole family, F every one of those Lannister lions besides Tyrion, of course. But it's the perception thing, because ultimately the majority of people love the Starks. If I did a poll right now, 70% would be Stark Bannermen, including myself. But if roles had been reversed and Robb was in the tower doing something with Sansa and Joffrey caught them together and Joffrey was pushed from the tower, would you hate Robb and Sansa? Probably not. And come to think of it, that would have saved us all a lot of heartbreak. But anyway, so he does something terrible that he feels he needs to do. Because let's be honest, if he doesn't and Bran tells, then Jaime is killed, Cersei is killed, Tyrion is killed, Joffrey's killed, Marcella's killed, Tommen's killed, Tywin's killed, dead Lannisters everywhere. And the same could be said for the Mad King situation. He did what was right, even though he broke an oath doing so. He killed him for the better of other people, forever staining his reputation and spoiling the white cloak of the Kingsguard. Oaths have been broken all over the realm. Jon, Sam, Robb, Ned, Mance, all kinds of people have broken oaths. Now, what does the future hold for the Kingslayer? Well, the Weirwood Dream kind of tells us what we need to know. The Weirwood Dream foreshadows the deaths of Tywin and Joffrey and the death of Cersei, actually. It foreshadowed Jaime rescuing Brienne from the bear. The dream foreshadowed Tywin giving Jaime his sword and then Jaime giving his sword to Brienne. And it foreshadowed Jaime getting another sword, Joffrey's sword, Widow's Wail. But to me, the biggest part of this vision are the swords themselves and the Kingsguard. So the swords are glowing with pale lights and causing darkness to recede. We know the swords were both made from Ned Stark's ancestral sword Ice, so that tells us quite clearly these swords have importance. The swords could in all actuality metaphorically be Lightbringer. They are fiery and they cause darkness to recede. Now, the Kingsguard is there, his brothers, people that he once admired and aspired to be like. They are chastising him for his past mistakes. He himself feels guilty about it, and as Jaime explains himself, his sword dims. It's also important to note that the Kingsguard are covered in snow or armored in snow. The others, the White Walkers, it's the dual representation here. Now his sword goes out and they attack him, possibly killing him. Cersei told him, the flames will burn as long as you live. When you die, so will they. So Jaime needs to live. If Jaime dies, the sword dies and the darkness wins. Now, I think Jaime is struggling with who he is. Jaime is everything outwardly that people should love and praise. Singers should sing of this golden lion. He's so handsome. He's titled a knight, a lord. His father, Tywin, is the richest and most powerful man in all the Seven Kingdoms. His sister is the queen, but the one thing he lacks is one thing that money can't buy, and that's honor. And no matter how he acts or what game he's putting down, it bothers him. He doesn't want to be known as an oath breaker or a kingslayer or whatever people whisper behind his back. He wants the white book filled with good deeds and chivalrous knightly things, and he wants to be covered in glory for the right reason. Jaime's attraction to Brienne is basically, in a nutshell, because she sees the good in him, and he wants to be everything that she is. He wants to be an oath keeper, and he will swear an oath, just like Sir Arthur Dayne, the White Bull, and everyone in this dream, and he will die keeping it. He will have his chance to die a hero, and guess who he will be saving? Jon Snow, the last living son of the man he was just explaining himself to, Rhaegar Targaryen. Jaime is disgusted with Cersei. He will leave her to deal with her messes on her own. He will head north to help with the looming crisis of the White Walkers. Tyrion and Jaime will make amends. Tyrion will somehow convince Jon that he needs Jaime. Jaime will swear an oath and die keeping it. Now, when the red star bleeds and darkness gathers, Azor Ahai shall be born again amidst smoke and salt to wake dragons from stone. When the red star bleeds, the red star was Oberyn Martell. Oberyn is a Martell. His house sigil is a spear piercing a red sun. When Oberyn dies, Jaime defiantly frees Tyrion. He turns against every member of his family that was in the Weirwood Dream and frees his brother. Tyrion then kills Tywin, metaphorically making Jaime reborn into the title of Lord of Casterly Rock, Lord Commander of the Lannister army. The darkness gathering bit, it just has to do with like the White Walkers and others and just their activity and their strengthening. And just the long night looming and the waking dragons from stone, to me is simple. It's waking Jon. Would it be foolish not to believe that Jaime could know something about Jon's parentage, or not Jon's parentage per se, but the goings and comings of Lyanna and Rhaegar? Maybe, maybe not. But that part has to do with Jon. The dragon from stone has to do with Jon. In dreams and prophecies, a lot of times in the book, when they're talking about dragons, they're actually talking about Targaryens. The interaction between Jon and Jaime right in the beginning of the story is there for a reason. It's not banter, it's foreshadowing. So is Jaime Azor Ahai? I don't know. I have many theories on who Azor Ahai could be, and they all seem plausible to me. What I can tell you I know for sure is Jaime will die an oath-keeping hero. What are your thoughts on Jaime redeeming himself and dying in a blaze of glory? Also, I wanted to shout out Talking Thrones. He did a video on Theon being an unlikely hero, and I think this story that we love so much will have many unlikely heroes. Who knows? I could pop up through Westeros wielding Lightbringer. It's just that many possibilities. Have no fear, this video is coming to an end, but I will have plenty of juice for my sweet summer children so they can make it through the long night. I will be doing a YouTube confidential with the good people over on the Focalizer podcast, so you can get to know me better if you care to know me. Trust me, I'm not that interesting. I will let you know the date of that when I know the date of that myself. I'll link their information in the description box. As always, like this video if you like it, subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I upload. Okay, my sweet summer children, have a great day.